Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror PSA presented by Scary Nerd, and as always, we are your hosts. I'm Paul.
I'm Saul.
And I'm Angie.
The following is a public service announcement.
A father and son, both corners, are pulled into a complex mystery while attempting to identify the body of a young woman who was apparently harboring dark secrets. That's right, we watched the autopsy of Jane Doe from 2016 with the always amazing Brian Cox.
Brian Cox is my favorite.
I don't think I've seen a movie of his that wasn't bad.
Give my regards to Bobby Baboon.
He's been in a lot of great movies, and he's been great in everything. I mean, I love that he does a very eclectic mix of stuff. I mean, Super Troopers, he's done horror, he's done he was in Braveheart,
and the crazy thing about him is he's not American, is he?
I don't believe he is.
I don't think he is.
I don't think he is.
Because everything that I've seen him, he's always had a regular American accent. So it's weird when you actually see him do interviews.
Not in Braveheart. Well, she was born in Kentucky.
Scottish.
Yeah, that's
there
right.
you
He's
go.
Scottish.
He's Scottish.
So yeah, Braveheart, he was just doing his regular accent. So he was just doing his regular. Mm-hmm. So the American accent is the fake one.
Yeah.
So damn, he's good. If ever,
he's good.
Especially if you think of I think the hardest thing to do when you're doing another accent is to yell at somebody in that accent.
Yeah.
Because I think you naturally just use your own accent. Because
you revert
when
back
you
to
yell.
it. There's certain emotions that you have that you revert back to whatever it is.
And that's definitely one.
Yeah.
Have you ever been drunk with somebody who was from another country, like English wasn't their first language?
Yes.
And they just start speaking in their native. I worked with a French dude one time. We would get drunk with him, and he would just start speaking to us in French. We're like, we don't know what the fuck you're saying. John Charles. His name was John Charles. So I'm like, we don't know what the fuck you're saying, dude.
I am very American. Accents elude me. I'll just stare at your mouth and pretend I know what you're saying. I've done it. But then if I get drunk, I don't really care about other people talking, but if I'm drunk and another person talks in an accent, I'm like, speak to me. And I'll just sit there.
Talking.
Yes, just let me hear it. There's something about it that just tickles my brain in the right way. And I'm like, yes.
It's not hard when, because Europeans, their spatial awareness is not the same as Americans.
Yeah, so they're right in your brain anyway.
So they're right in your face, and you're like, whoa, man. It's
it's not just that, though, but
Personal
Trump Mexicans, they don't know the concept of personal space either.
Oh, no. Apparently, Americans are the only ones who are like, get the fuck off of me.
We love our personal space.
Yes, we do.
Like 6 feet, bitch. We were like that before the pandemic. We were like, I don't know why you're so close to me, but could you back up?
Back it up, baby.
We don't even like standing in lines.
Ew.
Oh, do you remember lines? I can't go back. I can't go back.
No. This isn't the post-pandemic podcast. The Triple P.
But besides Brian Cox, they have Emile. And every time I hear the word Emile, I have to go, Emile! Because of, Ratatouille.
We saw the trailer before we watched this, and Kim kept saying, is that Emile? And then I'm like, no, it's not. Because there were certain shots where it looked nothing like him.
I don't think I really realized it was him until we watched the movie. Because I remember most of the trailer and a lot of the cover art was just her, was just the body.
Yeah.
So it was more focused around that than it was the
Jane Doe, not Emile.
Well, I was surprised because obviously
His name?
Brian Cox is unmistakably recognizable. But
Yeah.
so with Emile Hirsch and some shots in the trailer, it looks like him, and other shots.
Emile
like,
Hirsch, every time I see him, I'm like, hey, it's the guy from The Girl Next Door, because that's the only thing I remember.
That's the only thing I know him from. I don't get why he's so what was he in? That
I know him from that, and I know him from that one movie, Alpha Dog. Other than The Girl Next Door.
I won't watch anything with JTT in it. It's just my thing.
I think it was his first movie, so he was kind of decent in it.
Is
But
that the one where they kidnap that kid and all that? I remember the Unsolved Mysteries episode, actually. I never watched the movie, but I remember...
Dude who just did a movie on Fright Night Remake. What the hell?
Anton?
Anton. Yeah, he's in it.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's in it. There's a bunch of people.
Bruce Willis. That's one of the Bruce Willis, right?
Bruce Willis is in it. What's her face?
There's someone.
All right, that sounds not terrible.
We're not talking about
Justin Timberlake. I just can't.
The story is so dumb, though.
And you have ramen noodle.
I remember.
Hair.
Yeah,
I can't.
He'll always have ramen noodle.
He will.
Ramen
Yes.
Noodle, yes.
And so, what would you call Slater's hair then? Was that ramen noodle hair back then?
Slater.
He had a Jerry
Fucking
curl.
Saved by the Bell.
Yes.
What's his name? Mario Lopez.
Yes, he had a Jerry curl.
Yeah, that was more
It
Jerry
was
curl.
a Jerry curl.
Yeah. A weird
that's true.
90s
I'll give it
Hispanic
that.
Jerry curl.
Yes.
A Jerry curl.
A Jerry curl.
Jerry curl.
What's funny
That's
is
horrible.
Mexicans or
I'm
Hispanic
sorry, I'm
people
Mexican,
rock
so I can say
every single hairstyle that's that's out there.
Hey, it's kind of, over the last couple of years, there's shows come out that have given us whole insights into things like that. Fresh off the Boat show showed us that Asian Americans got perms in the 90s. Apparently, that was a thing too. Apparently, there was a lot of hair choices going on.
In the 90s, that was a status symbol for you to have a perm as an Asian person.
But anyway, back to the autopsy of Jane Doe, not 90s hair trends.
It's cultural hair, hair from around the world.
We opened to a crime scene.
Yes.
I love how it's a crime
we finally get a horror movie where like, here's the CSI right off the fucking bat.
Yeah, right off the bat.
There is a CSI in this town, and they're not that great though.
They have little signs everywhere. It says this has not been processed. Please don't touch it.
I wonder if that is an actual thing. I want to know.
I hope so. I mean, it makes sense because you want to get a shot of how everything was laying when you came in, right? And so you want it to be noted that this is the original position of the phone before process.
Well, here's what I would think though. I would think that you would go in, like the photographer goes in first, gets shots of everything, right? And then you have the CSI team to go and actually do all the other shit, collect the evidence and all that. So I would think like you wouldn't need that right off the bat.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm talking about for the pictures because they take pictures of everything, so you're gonna want that recorded. I'm saying if the in the photo is what I mean.
If the photographer is first, then obviously nothing's been processed. Is my point.
Court documents, you have to have all the information. It's just one of those stupid things that they have to place.
I've seen file photos and I've never.
Well,
seen
does it work like that? If they know everybody in there for sure is dead? Because what if there's still people alive and they'd be like, nope, you got to lay there.
No, you have to check. You have to take.
Well, no, I'm not.
You have to check the people first.
I'm talking about after the initial, like, all right, everybody's dead. This is a crime scene. It's not like this is an emergency scene right now. Like,
and no, I'm pretty sure the cops walk in and at least go, "Yep, dead." And I just went down and touched people on the podcast. Yes.
You touch the neck.
You at least poke them and say, "Are you alive?" And if
what
they're
if
not,
you're terrible at that? Like, what if you're just terrible at that and you just leave some guy? You're like, just a backup, carry a mirror.
Hey,
if they're not breathing, carry the mirror.
I can never find my own fucking pulse.
So
I'm never going to be able to find anybody's
you're
pulse.
a cop, you're the first one on the scene, and you're like, I can't find my own pulse. How the fuck am I like, hello, are you dead, sir?
Is anybody alive in here?
Well, what's his face? Brian Cox later says that they put the bell on the people's foot because they can't tell the difference between a comatose person and a dead person.
Oh, back in the day, yeah.
That's
so if you do that now to somebody, like, what do you do?
That's no different than like the old graves that they have the bell and the string thing, like in case you buried them alive.
Like you were saying, if you don't know they're dead, what are you gonna do? You're gonna put a little bell on them. You're like, move the bell if you're alive.
Bring it.
Or I like the mirror thing because that would work too.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, just have the mirror and
thanks.
Because when they actually I've been in the room when they pronounce someone dead, so they actually do more than one check. They're like, we listen for this, we listen for that, and then see, there's no dilation. Like, they do all kinds of shit. So
I'm sure
it's
there's
not
100
like in
procedures.
TV.
Yes,
it's not like in TV where like, we touch their neck, they're dead. Bring the meat wagon.
TV's just you cover them with a sheet and go time of death.
Yes.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it really cuts out the like three middlemen when it's like the cops like, all right, time of death.
Time of death.
Sheriff, you can't be dead. Shut up.
Well, even in the movie, when they bring the Jane Doe into the place, he says there's procedures. We would have liked to have seen the crime scene because, like, the coroner, I think, is supposed to go there too.
Yeah, because I think the coroner's the one that actually pronounces.
Yeah.
Well, the doctor does, but I think coroner in the crime scene probably.
Yeah,
so,
with coroners and stuff, there's so much forensics that also goes into that side of it too.
See, I would have been pissed too if I was Austin because be like, motherfucker, we're supposed to go out. You didn't even call us and tell us you were bringing us another fucking body.
At least
like,
call ahead.
It's Friday, motherfucker. Like, we thought we were done for the day. Like,
no, but I get the Sheriff Berg. He's like, look, there's already we have no press in this town, and fucking news people are showing up in my town. All right, you got to tell me why.
I can explain all the other dead bodies, but this chick, I don't know, man. You got to give me something.
I know, and I like the foreshadowing of them when they're at the crime scene, and that deputy or something's like, looks like they were trying to break out.
Yeah, they were trying to break out.
Dun, dun, dun.
I got that whole like it was the fucking CSI Miami with like what's his name, like the overacting, like they were trying to break out.
Exactly.
No. Okay. Jane Doe. I don't know how you pronounce her name. Olwyn, I'm going to say, and I hope that's how you pronounce it. So,
it's pretty if it is.
Olwyn Kelly. So major props to her just being naked the whole fucking movie and just being like not, blinking or because I want to see the outtakes where they're like, oh, her waist is really small. She's like like just starts cracking up. Like, just imagine you have to be the whole movie.
Super ticklish.
Yeah, it's just 8 hours a day. She was on the slab, just laying.
They'd probably be like, you know what?
naked.
Well, I did read that parts of it they had to use the prosthetic because obviously when you see the
when you're cutting up into the actual body, I mean, it has to be a prosthetic and all that.
Maybe they found out she was ticklish early and had to use that then.
This is a job for me. Somebody's like, lay there, play dead for 8 hours. Like, fucking.
Yeah, but I'm saying you're just being in the whole movie, just butt ass naked the whole time.
She wasn't butt ass. You could see that was obviously a merkin on top of her vajayjay.
Okay, well, yeah. I mean, she had. Yeah, okay. Well, that was the other thing. I'm like, you should know by that bush she's not from this era. Look at that thing, man. She's at least from the 70s, if not sooner.
Well, also that because of her
further,
age too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was clearly a merkin. They made her
okay. Well, it's okay. Yeah, but still, like, she's just laying there and. It's like not laughing, not blinking, not moving. Like,
yeah,
there has to be outtakes where something happened.
This is a job for me.
Yeah, but I'm saying they're poking and prodding her. Like, it's just other actors. Like, it's not even like a medical thing. Like, it's just like
she did. You got to give her major props because you see other movies where there's supposed people that are dead, and you look in the background, you can still see them clearly breathing and moving.
I've seen some pretty horrible ones. Yes. Some eye blinks and some. I'm not going to say the name of the movie.
I dig it. I mean, she was the whole character without having to do anything. But again, I could do this.
Lines,
this is a job for me.
No, okay. You could lay down right now and pretend to play dead, and I can come over and tickle you, and you will not. You will not stop laughing.
Yeah, you're not supposed to tickle dead people anyway. That
when
didn't
they
happen.
grabbed her
Okay, well,
waist,
fuck it. If I work in a corner, if I work in
like,
a morgue, I'm tickling people just to make sure.
And I don't think that was actually her when they grabbed her waist because they said it's unusually small. So that was probably a prosthetic
Well, they probably realized she was ticklish and put in the prosthetic.
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. The outtakes where she's
then she's not that great of an actress then. And
well,
again,
you don't know. The
job for me.
The finished product was enough that you believed that she was dead.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. If they take out her for parts of this stuff, then I could just do the laying there and looking cool and shit.
Wait. The one thing that she did, she did do one little bit of acting, though.
Yes, they did.
You forget, she did one little bit of acting at the end when she moved her big toe.
Her toe?
Yes.
That might not have been her.
Yeah, no, that was the toe double.
They probably had a toe double.
They're like, we have a toe double that can control their toes better than you can.
This is all movie magic, guys. Movie magic.
There was a fake body, her real body, a toe double. Probably
there was a lot of fake bodies. I mean, we get introduced to them with the burn victim.
I kind of wanted to see that too. And when they teased him when he was walking towards the elevator, they're like, are they going to show it? Are they going to show it? Are they going to show it?
They didn't show it, and that's what make it creepier. Yes. If they show you guys all the ins and outs, then it's not going to be
that guy
creepy.
couldn't get anywhere because he had no face. He couldn't see where he was going.
Don't you think he would have just started smacking into walls then?
Maybe that's what some of those noises were.
Well, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. They didn't show you guys that because it wouldn't have been as creepy when he was walking around. If you've seen it, it wouldn't have been as creepy.
No, but I'm saying when he was walking around later, I wanted a better
I love how that Brian Cox just gets his ass kicked.
Oh yeah.
In this film, like she's just throwing his ass around in the smoke in the bathroom, like all over the fucking mark.
Yeah, the bathroom one was really good because you had that
when he gets yanked back,
the shadow.
Yeah.
Oh, and we have to talk about Stanley the cat because Stanley the cat ruled.
Oh, poor cat.
Poor
I want to know what happened to the cat, though.
He was obviously disemboweled.
But who did it though? That's
clearly her.
You think it was her? Or it could have been one of those one of the mice that he killed. Because what, didn't they say it was like the second one?
He was like disemboweled, guys.
Gonna do that?
His like innards were out.
You think a mouse was gonna do that?
You'd be surprised.
No.
What kind of mice are these you're fucking talking about?
Hey,
like radioactive fucking super mice?
It was a supernatural mouse that had supernatural powers, and it did that. That's my theory.
No. That's a terrible theory. So
no, it's not.
I'm not gonna lie.
No, it's not. Theory. It wanted its revenge for being killed by the cat.
This is why you're not on the CSI team.
It wanted its revenge by being killed by the cat, and it went back up there and it went after it.
It was Emile. That's what it was.
I was like
the rat.
It was Emile the rat. Yeah. When they take Stanley into the crematorium, I was like, don't burn it, because I was thinking of Revenge of the Living Dead.
I know. I immediately went to that too, and I'm like, what happens if you burn this witch though?
They tried, and they couldn't.
No, I'm saying like, what happens if they just threw her in there and then it like made things worse, like Return of the Living Dead, and I'm like that. Well, it kind of have been good.
It kind of did, because when they said they were going to get her to the crematorium, and then he says fuck it and throws all that.
They couldn't get to the crematorium because
they
the bodies
locked into the room.
The
Because they were in there and he just
started
said, fuck
coming.
it, and just lit her on fire, and nothing happened to the body, and he even tells the dad.
That was one of the things that I really liked about this movie is they were trying to be practical. Like when the morgue explodes, when everything just fucking goes haywire, and they're like, all right, let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, the one line when Brian Cox's character Tommy was like, let's get the fuck out of here. I'm like, yes, finally. Like you're making sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're doing something that makes sense. And I'm glad that it was smart enough to be like, they're trying to do the right thing, but here's why they can't, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, most of the times when we're talking horror movies, it's like, why don't they just do this? Why don't they do that? You know? And it's like, we get so much outside of like, you know, practical things that it makes it like, it takes you out of the movie sometimes when it's not real.
And the thing that I loved about it too is how they slowly Brian Cox's character, what was it? Tommy. Tommy, he's the one who probably slowly realizes, oh shit, maybe we do need to get out of here.
Well, I think Emile, Austin's character, starts first. He's like, this isn't right.
But then when Emile, like, in his credit, he turns to Tommy and tells him, we've seen all of this shit. We're seeing things that don't happen.
Yeah, he had that one, like, I think that one nice moment of realization to where Tommy just kept with like the scientific things. Well, there has to be an explanation for this. There has to be an explanation for that. And then Austin is kind of like, look, you know, we've seen enough kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, we science is out of the window here, Dad. Like,
yeah, because they kept telling her, he's like, how does she break her arms and
we're way past possible.
Yeah, because he
is
breaks
what he says.
Her ankles and her wrists are broken, and then the dad says, "Oh, I've seen this before. Be with human smuggling." So he's trying to pretty much say, "Oh, everything that we're seeing right now, I've seen before in different cases."
Yeah, and he's like, "You're talking about a corpse." That's what he keeps sticking to.
He's like,
he's like,
dead.
"This is a corpse."
It's the science that he's like, it's nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing here is showing me what you're saying, and I'm like, but everything that we're seeing is what we're saying.
Yeah,
so.
Because they make a point to everything. Like when they open her up and they see her lungs, they're like, "This is bad." They're like, even if you did 30 years of smoking, they wouldn't be this bad. You'd have to be set on fire and you'd have to have third-degree burns.
I love how the whole autopsy confounds them.
Yeah.
Like, they're just, like, every time they open her up or every time they go to look for something, it just doesn't make sense. They're like, what the fuck is this? And it just keeps getting deeper and deeper.
Because you have the lungs, and then you see what was supposed to be scar tissue, where you said, oh, it looks like she's been stabbed, and then you see...
They find shit in her stomach.
They took her heart out, right?
Yeah.
And it deteriorated later. It was like rapid decomposition. They're like, that's weird and all that. So does she just not have a heart anymore when she gets zipped back up, or is that
I don't know.
She just regenerated everything.
I think she regenerated everything because.
So okay, then here's like I'm kind of confused about like. Okay, so the whole thing was that they said that she wasn't a witch, but they treated her like one, so it created a witch.
Yeah, so basically they said the ritual that they did in the past made her one.
Yeah, because she was innocent, but she was accused of that, so blah blah blah. Right?
Yeah.
So what is the story of her body? Like, how does it end up places? Like, what happens? It just goes from one guy to another.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I think that's how they explained it away because Tommy says later on he's like. The only people who survived buried her far away because they know she came from up north. Because he's like, this isn't familiar. This isn't stuff that you would find around here scientifically. So he's like, okay, she's from up north. So yeah, they're just like, whoever survived got rid of the body.
Yeah, they would just put her somewhere where they can't find her.
So somebody found her and like, so I want to prequel that. I want to know what the fuck happens to that family.
I'm thinking what happened with that family is obviously
thing.
You see her being dug up. So I'm thinking they buried her.
Okay, well the cop, the sheriff guy, his theory was like, okay, I can explain. The one guy needed to get rid of a body and he was doing work at this family's house.
Yeah.
So that explains that, the basement or whatever dug up and, maybe the family, found out or they got home or, he didn't think they were home. Like his whole theory was that. And like, okay, that's plausible for everything except how the fuck he got the body and like whatever. So I'm like, the way that it looks, and like even the other cop was like, it looks like they were trying to get out and all that. Mm-hmm. Then obviously the family either knew about it or something, but it was like
I don't think the family knew about it because the one thing I think happened is the guy who was in the basement. This is what I think happened. The family hired him to do some whatever remodeling downstairs, so he had to break out whatever the floor was.
And you think they just found the body?
Yeah.
I think they just found the body.
I think that's what happened.
Because the last person who survived, I think probably, who knows how long ago they found it, they buried it there.
Yeah,
and then
they're like, they're building houses over here. Let's just run over there.
Yeah. I mean, fuck, that happens now.
If we pour it under the foundation, then
because to me, like the one thing I kind of took it at, especially with the ending, how when every time somebody would die, she slowly kept regenerating. So I'm thinking this happened throughout years. So everything that happened to her, obviously she was burned, she was stabbed, all that stuff is slowly going away because her body is regenerating.
So then what is it? So now that she's out, she's able to regenerate?
I'm thinking the more people she kills, there's got to be a point. There's got to be an end game to her to however many people she kills.
Yeah, I don't know.
To before she
I
comes
guess that
back.
makes sense.
Well, she talks about how she just wants revenge.
Yeah.
And I mean, at the end, when Brian Cox goes and he like offers himself, it's like, I'm not going to fight you. You can take me or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, just don't hurt him. And then she still kills the son.
Yeah, don't ever do that.
Yeah. She's still going to kill you.
Just still going to die.
She's going to kill your son. She ain't going to let him go.
No, she
Then yeah, I want a prequel or a sequel where she's like comes back to life and then I was just like evil.
Yes.
She's a succubus.
No.
I thought I did see
know.
that there was a sequel for it, wasn't there?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I thought I saw Autopsy of
There's
James
another
O, too.
one.
It's got to be one that's disconnected.
similar, but I don't know if it's a sequel to this movie.
We got producer Kim on the case.
I really love all the foreshadowing with like the radio and the storm, like how it's like, you're not going anywhere.
That was creepy. Because all of a sudden it just comes out of nowhere. You have that weird, what I would say 30s, 20s music.
Yeah, and how like
It was
she
very,
keeps fucking with the radio.
It was very Jeepers Creepers to me. When the song came on, something was going to happen. This is a very like Sanford and Son kind of mortuary feel to me.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like watching like anytime
Three
you
generations of
Yes.
what did they say?
anytime that you have a combined like funeral home / mortuary / place you live in, I'm like,
Yeah.
wouldn't you always just be a little weirded out about the shit that's in your basement? Like, even though like you're a coroner and you know like this shit isn't real and this and that and all that, but still, I
no,
would
you
just be like,
literally take dead bodies apart every day. No.
Yeah, but I think it's one of those
yeah,
things
okay,
eventually-
but it's not even just the dead bodies that you have to worry about. What if it's like weird people that like to do stuff with dead bodies that break into your basement?
I don't think that's
you
actually a
would put
problem.
precautions in there.
That happens. It's happened before. It'll happen again, Angie.
I think you're just thinking of problems that don't exist, Paul.
Simple Google search will prove you wrong.
But we lose Stanley along the way, like we said. So sad. Poor little Stanley. And then we get more of the mom's backstory.
Yeah.
Apparently she killed herself.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I'm like, they made it seem that way. Because, like, I don't know. I was like, is it cancer or is it mental illness? Like, it was kind of like, it didn't really say anything, but at the same time, like, he's a coroner. But he would kind of notice if there was medical problems with her, right?
The weird thing about that, though,
It
is
was
how
mental illness.
he brought up that little thing about how he called her, his ray of sunshine or whatever need be.
Yeah,
And then-
that's why it was mental illness, guys.
Yeah,
Because he
well,
was like, I didn't
not just-
notice that she was so sad.
Not just that, though, but at the end of
didn't hear him
the
say
movie
sad.
where they have the song playing again and that line comes up in the music.
Well, yeah, all foreshadowing.
Yes.
Yes, a lot of foreshadowing in this movie.
I found it funny they were setting up the whole scary mortuary before the body even got there. Because they're like, what is that noise? What is this? And I'm like, you guys have been here forever, though. So, see, they were scared for no reason still.
They weren't scared, though. It was more of a, like, I hear somebody coming down to me. It wasn't more of scared. It was more of, like, who is in my elevator?
Yeah.
No, because they had, I mean, I'm not saying, like, maybe they weren't scared, but I'm like, the movie was, like, making you feel that weird, eerie sense about the mortuary.
Well, if it doesn't, is it even a horror movie, Paul? I mean,
Well, the horror doesn't start until Jane Doe
we
shows
don't
up.
have a creepy ass mortuary. Is it even a horror movie?
And then he says it, too. Austin, he's like, none of this weird shit started happening until she showed up.
Maybe Emma was the bad luck. Because I really think Emma's the chick that would have sex in the coroner's room. She would have had sex. She wanted to see the dead bodies. I'm like,
did want to
How
see the
does
dead
that
bodies.
equal have sex in the coroner's room?
because she was joking with him about sex later and this and that because they scared her about the dead body. After she was like, let me see the dead body.
Yeah, I don't
Can I
think
touch
so.
it? She
I
would have
think- Again, I think you're making up
No,
stuff.
she would have been way more into the stuff if the dad wasn't there.
Okay, Bum.
and Emile was Andrew.
You're making up stuff about this girl having
Why?
sex in a coroner's room.
Okay, the way that she was, it was like, let me see the dead body, let me do this, and yeah, she's the chick that has sex at cemeteries.
Well, I disagree.
Okay,
She's trash.
Well, disagree all you want. She is trash. That's it. She was like, let's go dance. Let's
let's
go
talk
dance in the coroner's office.
Let's talk about what happens to her, though, because that came out of freaking nowhere.
Oh, I know. Like, I want to know
I
what
saw
she saw. Like, what
Apparently
her
nothing.
experience was like she just like, where are you guys? Like following him around. Like, I want to know what was happening from her point of view. You know, because
Yeah.
like it's clear that the witch or whatever can show them things and
Yeah.
make them hallucinate. You know, so I'm like, what was she seeing?
I'm thinking she was just Well, I don't think she was under the spell of the witch at that point, because she was probably just walking down thinking, okay, nothing's going on.
Well, yeah, so that's what I want to know. Like, because she clearly came down from the elevator.
Yeah.
So how did she get to the elevator into
she
the
had to,
back
like,
and then
walk around
walk
somewhere.
back, you know? So I'm
Yeah.
like, what would that even look like from her point of view and what was going on? Because, I mean, if she had thought it was, you know, Tommy or Austin, she would have called out or something,
Yeah.
you know? Like...
Especially the fact that it was dark.
It was dark, yeah.
Why wouldn't you call it?
Yeah,
you know?
so I'm like, I want to see what it was from her point of view and how she was just wandering around down there, you know?
And talk about the way to go, gets an axe to the chest.
Yeah, so off guard. And Brian Cox, man, Tommy just, he's like, what the fuck? fuck.
Because at that point, you think it's still the dude who blew off his face.
Yeah, you think it's the corpse because they've got up and walking around. Yeah, because we hear that bell. That's when the bell's coming out.
'cause he was walking around.
Yeah.
It was a good prank on her with the whole bell thing. So I do love the back to the sheriff's theory about the guy that was doing, like, was this theory just based on like I'm gonna air quote here, evidence in the house, or was this guy like actually like like we've been watching him, he's violent, he's
No,
an
this
ex-con,
was,
like,
I fully believe it was just
I
evidence.
know, I'm like, but I'm like, where did he just come up with this theory? Like, he's like, well, this guy needed to get rid of the body, and the other. I'm like, that okay, this doesn't really make sense, but sure.
I took it as like, we're walking the crime scene and just throwing out random things we can think about. I mean, like, obviously they're not writing any of this shit down. They're not making, they're at this point they're just looking at it what it is on the surface. Because I mean, at some point you got to wait for all the labs to come back.
And it really was
and all
just
that
like
shit.
He's like, look, between you and me, we gotta figure this shit out, man.
Yeah, he's like, I can sell this, but if there's an extra body, they won't accept that. They're gonna want other answers, so we have to figure it out.
Well, you would think that once somebody comes into a crime scene, they kind of try to piece everything together, and then when you get the detectives, they're the ones that actually figure everything out. So you might just have a basis theory on what.
Wait,
happened.
where did the other bodies go?
They didn't move them. They kept them
didn't
there.
move 'em.
They put them in body bags, though. So where did they take them to?
Did they?
When they were
don't
showing,
remember that
I
part.
thought that when they were showing the outside, like, when they were getting ready to move her, I thought, unless I'm thinking about the end. Maybe I'm
I
thinking
think
about
you're
the end.
thinking about the end.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
because
thinking
they
about
do
the
bring
end.
out the bodies at the
Yeah,
end.
okay.
Because the only reason I think they didn't take the other bodies because they had been identified at that point, but they were still trying to figure out who she was.
So he basically
Yeah.
snuck that one out, is what
Yeah.
he's saying. Like, we're not.
Yeah, because like what
we're
Angie
still
said-
processing
Yeah,
the
she's
scene,
the
move
odd one out.
bodies.
Because
Let's,
because what Angie said is he can explain those three, but you can't explain the fourth one. So we need to figure out who she was and why she was in this before
Yeah.
we can actually say anything else. So that's why I think they hurried her out of there.
do they still make Polaroid cameras like the way they have in the movie?
I have no clue.
Like,
I mean,
don't think they have those anymore.
I
like,
mean,
at all.
I get it. It's a good like setup for the boards and shit.
Yeah,
but
I
at
mean,
the same
it's-
time, I'm like,
Do they
I don't
even
know
still
where you
sell-
would buy one?
Yeah, do they even still sell film for those? Like, if you had one from the
have
fucking
no
like
We've
80s or
seen a
90s?
weird the one. It looks like a kid version at Target.
Yeah, I know they have like a newer updated one, but
Yeah.
I'm saying like that old
That
school
could-
one that
that
he
I
was
don't know.
using in the
Yeah.
movie. Like,
That I don't know.
there's somebody who has someone at a yard sale. Like, it's got a box of them with old film still.
We need to find it.
Yes. I like how when they do set her on fire, because like the whole time they're trying to get her to the crematorium, but they get stuck in there. And I love how he's just like, fuck it. And they throw that chemical, whatever, highly flammable. It's probably formaldehyde.
I don't know why,
Something,
but
yeah.
that whole scene reminded me of Ghostbusters 2.
When they're stuck in the
When they're stuck in
doing
the dark
photos.
room. When
Yeah.
they're stuck in the dark room all of a sudden and they can't get
Fire
out.
starts.
Like, where's Winston? He's going to let him out.
Yeah. But I like when like she uses that as a way to take out the technology in the room. Like
Yeah.
That's just how she fires the camera and
melted
all
your-
those pictures. And
That you say technology, but yet he had an old ass camcorder.
Well,
that
I mean, it
and
was the
fucking
technology
Polaroid
in the thing,
Well, I mean, it's
okay?
tech to her, I guess,
Yeah.
if she's
Yes.
from the Salem or whatever.
1693, according to the
What is it? What is that?
little
Cloth thing that they
paper,
made her eat?
or the cloth that they put her tooth in.
Yes.
Bunch of damn Puritans out there fucking making satanic rituals, making witches and shit.
Oh.
Bunch of bitches.
It's just it's the hypocritical nature of it all. Just-
I like how, because y'all know I'm a slut for Lauren Gore. So the whole backstory, I was like, yes. Figured out the Roman numerals, the Leviticus. Like, yes, I
The
dig
weird
it.
tattoos on the inside of the skin.
I know, I dig it when they like skin her, when they separate that whole like chest panel basically from her boobs. But I
Yeah.
was like, okay, where's all the boob muscles? Because there's a lot of muscles in the boob
that to me looked like it was more like there was another layer of skin over the actual skin. I was confused about that too.
The anatomy, about it. But I liked how when they did skin it looked like all those inner tattoos on the inside of the skin. And I was like, that's cool. It could never happen, but super cool.
Yes.
It looked like pig skin, like tattooed pig skin.
It did. But again, the anatomy was not correct. And I think if it was, it would have been much gorier and much more
because that kind of threw me off for a minute because I'm like, so is it a layer of someone else's skin outside of their own skin? Because I'm not seeing muscle or tissue or anything like that. And they kind of just didn't really address it after that because then all the shit just started happening after that.
The morgue exploded.
I always find it funny in movies like this to where... especially in that part where Brian Cox, when he cuts his wrist or whatever on the bone when he's digging around. By the way, okay, those fucking branch trimmers, those would cut rib bones.
Apparently,
you would think
they hardly cut through a fucking tree branch sometimes. Like if you have especially a dull pair or medium dull pair, it's like you have to hack through those fucking branches for 2 or 3 tries.
Okay, well here's a question: if you took one of those things, do you think you could just clip off a finger?
Easily.
Okay, then why wouldn't it work for?
Because I don't know.
They're not much thicker.
I don't know how thick rib bones really are, but the chest plate thing that they were taking off in the area where they were doing it.
Yeah, they were cutting around the ribs. So
they were cutting in the chest plate. So it was cutting the ribs still, but that was thicker part closer to the chest plate.
Well, see, I thought they were cutting right by the ribs and to take the whole chest plate out because he does take that big chunk out of her.
But he leaves I think the skinnier part of the ribs is what's left in there. So I don't know if
so the little. So you just cut around the ribs. So rib bones are small. You just cut all those little bones.
But but tree branches are not as thick or hard or whatever.
We need a mortician. We need a mortician on our. We knew no one. Yes.
Well, technically, I knew someone. I thought about calling him. Just
I know. We need some odds and ends. Yes.
We need some insight. We have questions.
But I love how they're like, okay, so much shit is going on. Let's go figure out how she died.
Oh wait, I didn't make my point. Okay.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
He cuts himself, and I find it funny in movies that they're always close up to the blood and the guts, and they've got their mouth open and just and I'm like, you're gonna get chunks of shit in your mouth. Shouldn't you have a face shield, man?
Or a face mask.
I know, definitely when they were cutting the chest thing, I was like, little bone fragments are clipping out everywhere as you're chopping that thing.
You're gonna
Imagine
get that on
you
your face.
You get a little bone fragment when you're chopping the chest plate.
Oh, in your mouth or something?
No, in your eye.
That's instant AIDS. That's instant AIDS, right? That's all I think of.
Didn't they drain her already though?
But you still got blood.
She was bloody though. She was gooey. It was just blood
right off the bat
everywhere.
when they took that blood and he puts it in the fridge thing and they reminded me of that bag of whatever he had in there that was leaking. I'm like, this is like if you thaw some meat in your fridge and it just sits for too many days and the blood just gets
it's
everywhere.
Carne asada. It's a big bag of carne asada.
Oh damn it, lunch. I told you to stop using the same fridge.
I love it when they cut her open and they're like, Austin's character is like, she's not supposed to bleed like that, right? He's just
and
like,
again,
she bleeding too
Tommy
much.
kept, at that point, that's when he kept trying to have a reason for everything.
Sciencing in a way, yeah. He's like, only if they're super fresh.
He's like, but she's been there at least, what he said, a couple of weeks? Or
yeah,
a week or whatever
a couple days
Yeah.
because they noticed the eyes were all cloudy.
Yeah.
And he was like, that doesn't happen until a couple days later or whatever.
Okay, yeah. So that's my thing. He didn't know how long she died, and he kind of asked the sheriff guy, how long do you think? And he's like, I don't know. I don't remember what he said, but he's kind of like, I don't fucking know. I don't know shit, man. So to me, it's like you're opening the eyelid. I'm like, once rigor mortis sets in, you're not gonna be able to do that, right?
You should be able to.
I don't know.
I don't think
I
you'd
don't
be
know
able
how
to.
face stuff works. I assume your jaw would be shut, right? And your arms and legs.
Your jaw for sure.
But I don't know how, because your eyelid is just skin with a little bit of muscle. I don't know how much force you would actually need. I don't think it would be that much force to have to open it, even if rigor
But I
mortis
think
was stuck in.
wouldn't the skin part of your eyelid?
We need a mortician. We have questions.
The thing that I remember years ago from somebody who I knew who apprenticed as a mortician or whatever need be, they said that rigor mortis comes and goes.
Yeah. Because it's a process of your body breaking down pretty much.
From 1700s.
I mean, well, eventually you just get gooey. Everything just goes to goo. So
you would think you'd be able to open up the eyelid.
Yeah.
I guess.
Why not?
I don't know.
But again, we have questions.
We don't know anything.
We might be way overthinking
We don't know anything.
This movie.
The only thing that we know about coroners and morticians is from movies, and that's obviously not right most of the time. So,
well, we think they remove chest plates with tree trimmers.
Yeah.
So I'm sure
because that's literally all that fucking thing was. I'm like, you went to Walmart. And
I'm assuming there's actual instruments for those.
Yeah, it's either
should be
is a saw. I'm sure.
Yeah,
it's just a different saw blade for that piece versus the skull.
I really dig this movie, though. It had so many layers because you have the whole backstory with the witch, right? You get the lore and gore with the witch character.
Yeah.
But you also have this really like human emotional side with Tommy and Austin's backstory as well. Like how Austin's looking to get out, and leave break the family tradition of being morticians. Yeah. And then, Tommy's all sad about his wife.
See,
still.
if he would have only gone to the fucking movies with his girlfriend, he would still be alive.
He would.
Or would he, though? Because then he would be the town's coroner and have to go through and figure out the body.
No, because he wasn't a coroner, though. He was a tech.
I guess.
He was a medical.
He was the assistant, I think.
Yeah, I think he was
certified medical assistant.
A certified medical assistant. Yeah. So, like, if you're a tech, you could have easily been like, well, Dad's dead. Time to pack in this whole house and move on.
See, no, I'm saying not the dad's like autopsy or whatever. I'm saying, would he still have to do the other chicks because the sheriff still wants answers about who this Jane Doe is? Right?
No, and I think the sheriff, if Tommy had not survived, if Tommy had died, and even if Austin still survived, he still would have been like, get this bitch out of my county. Yeah. He would have been like, nope, I don't want this body here. Too many fucking questions. Get it out of my county.
Yes.
And the poor dude that had to drive that ambulance with her.
I know.
Like, just complaining. Like he was arguing with his girlfriend or whatever. Like, damn it, baby, I didn't do that. It wasn't me.
It probably was him, though. Yeah. if we're making up shit about these characters, like Paul
I'm not making any shit up. She wanted to come into the and why today, of all days that she's known him and has been dating him for God knows how long, and has known him, probably this. I'm assuming this is somewhat of a small town, right? So everyone's known that he's the mortician kid, right? So. Of all fucking days, why today that she wanted to see?
Third generation. Tommy's the third generation.
So everyone knows he's the mortician kid. That's my point. So she could have any time, 8 years old, 12 years old, like, can I see one? Let me go in there.
12 years old. I'm sure he didn't work down there at 12 years old.
But you don't know. Probably lived upstairs though.
Well, I think because he asks her earlier when she first comes in, how did you get down here? And she says your key was in the elevator.
Yes.
So maybe it was the first time she's been down there.
Maybe.
So
I guess.
that's how.
Yeah, and why did she want to go down there?
She wanted to see a dead body.
Because she got all horned up at the thought of dead bodies. See, point, chess,
again,
match,
Paul's
checkmate.
Just making up shit. So yes, that paramedic at the end did it.
Oh, he did it. He totally did it. Like, no, that wasn't me, baby. Fuck, no, I was at home last night.
Mm-hmm. But
hold on, baby. This bitch is moving the bed. What are you doing? Get back down there.
I love all parts of this movie. Like I said, I love the human element of it. I love.
It's funny that you say all parts, and I'm like, I just think of like body parts.
Yes, because it's an autopsy.
I love all the parts. Pun intended.
Yes. Pun intended. If we wanted to talk about Jane Doe's autopsy, that poor girl.
Yes.
That poor girl. They put stuff in her vagina. No.
He put stuff everywhere.
Okay, well here's my questions though, and this is what doesn't make sense to me, right? So obviously she was, accused of witchcraft back in, Salem days,
1963,
and all that, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
In 1963, that's what
or
they said?
1693.
1963.
Damn it,
yeah,
1693. I just
like 1963.
I was about to say
1963 makes more sense to my brain than 1693.
They're like,
sorry.
1963 was a horrible year for America. Kennedy died. There were still a few witches being tried in Boston or in Salem or all that. So It's a horrible day, horrible
Fucking
year.
Puritans in the Northeast just making fucking rituals.
It
up.
was no, it was one of those things like in the M. Night Shyamalan's The Village, where they just thought it was 1693.
See the fucking plates going up.
It was
there
like,
and
what
shit.
the fuck is that?
This movie just whole took a turn. That's how she ended up.
That's the movie we should do. 'Cause
That's
I
how
think
she ended up in
we
some
should,
house's fucking
Ill repute?
basement. No, the basement house. They were just building houses. Somebody threw her in there. 1963.
There you go.
1963.
And then 2016,
Hey, and
somebody's
you know
getting
what?
the
You know what? I'll
foundation
give you
fixed.
that bush could have been from the 60s. So
There you go.
I'm
It
saying
tracks,
that
yeah.
whole that makes sense.
There we go. That's what happened. Tommy
Yes.
and Austin just couldn't read Roman numerals.
Yeah. He folded it wrong, and
Yeah.
it was like, is it? Yeah. This is what happens when you stop teaching Roman numerals in school.
So
Exactly.
Puritans.
No cursive, no Roman numerals. Kids are gonna be stupid and not know what the fuck things are.
Don't be making any witches out there. All right, that's the real horror PSA.
Yeah.
Don't be doing any rituals you don't know about.
Here's okay. I'm okay with that though, right? Because no. I don't, let me
Okay with
Okay,
what?
let me explain,
Let's-
right?
Okay.
So
'Cause I'm like, you okay with the ritual?
Yes, let me explain. Let me explain, right? So they did this ritual and accused her of witchcraft, right? And she wasn't a witch. So their hypocriticalness created a witch.
Yes.
And I'm assuming she killed them all, right?
Let's
would
hope
hope.
so.
Okay. So I'm saying if you accuse someone and you're wrong, then you should be punished for that.
Yes.
Yes.
And if you think someone's a witch, then okay, you just created a witch. Like how fucked up would there would actually be witches? This is okay. This is the TV show that we need to make or the movie. It's for like
And you
they
know what,
accused
Paul?
people and the witches actually became true because of their hypocriticalness.
Yes.
And now we just have witches in the world.
And just like the famous classic movie said, communism is just a red herring.
Witchcraft was just a red herring.
Yes. It's all the same. People have just
Yes.
been this stupid for our the
No, but I'm
entire
saying
time.
I'm saying for the natural law and order of world, if you have duality of there's good, there's evil. If you in the name of good accuse someone of evil who is not evil, then evil should be thrust upon
Cosmic
you.
There you go.
retribution.
That's what I'm
Karma.
saying. Karma.
Yes.
I want like religious karma. That's what we're talking about. That's
that
what
would be so
That would-
Welcome
if-
to Religious Karma.
If that
the
would be a
podcast.
thing, we wouldn't be
Yeah.
in a position we're in.
No, we're not.
No, because I'm saying back then they said witches were a thing. If they weren't a thing, they were just like he said, like they were just teenage girls that were like
It
they
was
were probably just,
hysteria, yeah.
No, there was probably just teenage girls that were just tired of the status quo. And were like, fuck this, we're not. Thou should not do this anymore.
No, it was literally a bacteria that made them crazy. That made them hysterical.
They
Yes.
drank the water?
It was a hysterical
was,
thing that
it
made
was,
them all crazy. And then adults were just like, "Yep, makes total sense."
No, here's what we need to make a comedy about the Salem witch trial and mix it with like George Romero's The Crazies. It's
Yes.
like, it was just in the water and they're just
I mean, really, that's what
someone.
it is.
I wanted the Quaker or
Let's
the
call Daniel Day-Lewis. We'll do a new Crucible.
Do it.
the Puritan chick just sweeping out in the middle of the forest.
Did you? But no, nothing.
Tituba. Tituba don't know the witchcraft.
She don't know nothing. Poor Tituba. But again, we're also blaming, minorities for white bitches shit. Still, we've just been awful since our inception.
Yes.
If anything, if you learn anything
Horror
from our
PSA,
podcast, we
yeah.
want you to know humans are awful.
A historical look at how horrible.
Maybe that's why
humans are.
we like watching horror movies. We're like, yes, die, stupid
Yes.
person.
Yes, you did something wrong. You deserve.
I
this.
mean, that's always been a human thing, right? Even in Shakespearean times, you're like, cut him up. Stupid asshole.
if you want to talk about Shakespearean times, then we've always had fucked up stories.
Yes.
Like think of like
Yes.
Oedipus Rex and those fucking like, ugh. Yeah. There's always been tragedies around.
But yeah, I really like the lore.
Humans are horrible.
They are. I like the lore about how humans are horrible and created this horrible
Yes.
thing
It was
that
different.
kill other humans.
So what stops her? Because the only thing I could think of, I'm like, I go back to like fucking Paranorman. I'm like, you got to read this girl a story. And
Yeah, you
bury
got to
her.
read
Like,
her.
what do you
no,
do? Like,
no,
what do
you
do,
got to
man?
break the hurt. So you got to
Okay,
go
but-
back and create and do a seance therapy session. You need to
Yes.
get her through her feelings.
See, that's the thing that I
Let
wrote
her
down.
confront her
Okay.
demons.
When in that scene where Brian Cox is like, I won't fight you. Just don't hurt my son kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, just explain to her what's going on.
Right?
She's probably pissed off. She's like, what are you cutting up my body
Why are you
for?
touching me? Yeah.
Like, what the hell, man? My bush is
and-
just out, you asshole.
Yeah.
Cover me up.
Well, and when they took a piece of her brain, and they're like, she's still alive, so
Yeah.
she was feeling all this shit
Yeah.
as well. So I'd be pissed too. I'd be like, fuckers. But yeah, I totally be like, listen, we didn't know that you
That's
were
what
a
I'm
witch.
saying. Like,
Yeah,
just explain to her, like,
explain.
look, it is 2016. You are in whatever town they're in, right?
Yeah.
Like,
We are
That's-
terribly
you're-
sorry.
I think that's the thing that I appreciated the most is you would think, okay, Brian Cox is trying to get to her on a level of like, hey, we didn't know.
Yeah.
And like most horror cliches would be like, oh, it's going to break the spell. But I love how this one didn't do that and stayed with the.
No, you know what it was? It's because she is a witch and they killed the cat. They sacrificed that cat. He killed the cat and then burned the body. So he started this whole thing. It's Brian Cox's fault. It's Tommy's fault.
Are you making up shit again?
I'm not making up shit. Well, nothing really bad happened until after that. They offered a sacrifice of a cat. And
That's
now,
not true. The radio started talking to them. Shit started exploding.
How did the radio work underground when he couldn't even get cell reception?
I don't know.
I don't know.
So there's
There was
that.
some questions
Interesting
asked.
tidbit. She was like,
Old
"I'm
school
gonna,
technology.
I'm gonna allow the radio to work, but your cell phone is not gonna work."
I really like too at the end where you like the first time I saw this totally got me. I was like, Burke is back. They're just moving shit off the tree because you hear it. You
Yeah.
hear them moving
Yeah.
the tree off the
Yeah,
door.
it sounds
you hear
like
him
a
talking.
chainsaw or
yeah.
something. Like, we're gonna get you out.
And
Yeah.
so I'm like, okay, but then he starts singing, and I'm like, oh, that's fucked up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, that's me.
that was good. I do enjoy that.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that part because you didn't really like. After you watch it, you're like, damn it, why didn't I expect that? Like, it's
Yeah.
almost like you're mad at yourself. Like, I should have
But the
expected.
way they
God damn
did it,
like-
it was
Yeah.
so seamless. Like you're
Yeah.
like, okay, and like, all right, but then like you see. He sees his dead dad. I'm like, oh, she just collecting people then? Like, that sucks.
Wow.
telling you,
I need more. I need more answers. I need more story.
We did get a confirmation.
I do want a prequel.
There
though.
is
That
a-
We
would
did
be
get a
good.
sequel?
confirmation. No, there's not.
There's no sequel.
I
Okay.
thought I had seen something, but I guess I was mistaken.
Another horrible theory.
So Andre
Overdal.
over.
I don't know
yes.
if that's correct.
I
That's
am
it.
white, but I can't say the Nordic names. It just they don't. My tongue doesn't move that.
When
way.
there's
I
O's with a
apologize.
slash in there, I'm like, what? Why? Why?
know.
Why?
I'm like, what does that slash sound like? I need to know.
Not
what
just
the
the slash too, but
sign
when you
sounds.
have the little dots on top of them too.
Yeah, am I
Yeah.
like am I
Is that
supposed
the
to
ooh?
bort with that point?
Bork, bork.
Yes,
You're
is
the
that the
Swedish
point?
chef.
Yes.
Like,
That's where you bort. Those little darts. Yes. But this is a good one. I like it.
Yes,
it's
this
fun.
was.
I think the thing about this movie that makes it so good and probably better than it actually is just the fact that it's so simple and it's like it all takes
Yes.
place in one spot basically.
Yeah, and there's not
Like,
enough. There's
and
not
it's
a
just-
lot
it's
to
just
get
the
annoyed
dread.
with.
Yeah,
you
like-
know, like you don't hate the decisions
Like there's
that
nothing
anybody's making.
Yeah, there's nothing extra that
Yeah.
you didn't need. It was
Yeah.
like this story makes sense. It they have those moments where they're like we need to get the fuck out of here, but then they're prevented by the evil.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you don't have anything extra that doesn't need to be in this movie. It was almost perfectly just cut to where it's like here's the same, the simple plain story and we're going to fill it with dread and scares and
Yeah.
it's just good, that
What I loved about it is this movie did enough without doing too much.
Yeah.
It did
You're
enough.
just going to repeat everything I just said. So.
No, that's what it is.
You're right. That's what I was
That's
trying
what
to
it
get
is,
at.
yeah.
It did enough without doing too much.
Yeah, it did enough without doing too much to the point where you didn't need over the top stuff. Like everything that they did was a slow build until it's like, okay, this is unfolding really, really well. And they're not doing too much. They're not going out of their way to be like,
I
oh,
needed some more gore. It would have been good with some more gore.
But I mean, they had it where they
Yeah.
could. It wasn't a slasher.
Yeah, but
It's
okay,
not a,
and I get that, but I'm saying, like to your point too, like in the autopsy, there could have been, I think, more. Especially when they skinned her. That's the thing that I wanted Uncle Frank from Hellraiser when they skinned her.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's
Yes,
what I'm saying.
I need at least the
if
muscle.
they had
the
yeah,
muscle.
that's
But to that though, again, like I said, if you did that, then you'd have one thing that would be too much.
But it wouldn't be too much though in that point because you skinned a bitch, and what do you
Yeah.
think you're going to see if we take skin off? What do you think's underneath, man? It's
think-
not smooth under there.
Yeah, I think my favorite part of this was the story was told.
Yeah.
And how the story was told. I mean, mean, we get the foreshadowing in the beginning, and then it comes full circle with the end. It's exactly how the story opened, and it's just showing what happens when that body is anywhere.
Yes.
And it's exactly a nice full circle moment.
Yeah, and I think
it's on her way out of town.
I think to your point too that you were saying that it did have like their own little backstories. Like it talked about the mom, and it talked about Austin and the girlfriend talking about him getting out and this and that, right? So it had those moments, but it was like those moments are just natural things that these characters would be going through at the time. Like it wasn't like we didn't really need to dive deeper into those to get what they were coming from.
No, and they were simple.
They were there, and that's it.
Yeah, and the way the story was told, the director, I'm assuming, had a lot to do with how the story was told, but it made it so it was effortless to learn their backstory.
Yes.
We get their backstory from pictures, little side comments.
Yeah, and even in the scene where Tommy is talking about the wife and all that, it's like it doesn't feel like exposition because it's really not. Like you don't need to know that, but it's just like that's what the character would be going through to be like, look, we're facing death, and I'm here's what I regret in my life, kind of thing. And it was just I kind of need to tell you these things, son, in case you wondered, or if things don't go well, I want to get this off my chest before we die, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I killed your girlfriend.
Yeah, I wrote down.
It was an accident.
I wrote down. I'm like, he just sits there, like when they go out and see that it's Emma, and when Austin goes down, he's like, oh my god! And
I know he's bawling,
and Tommy's just standing there, like, I was like, well, he knows how to take them apart. Maybe he doesn't know how to put them back together. So like, I can't do anything, son.
I always took that as shock. He was like, what the fuck? What? I don't know what I did.
They could have done something. She was still breathing for a minute. They just like sat there like, I don't know what to do.
Well, maybe he was like,
I only take apart. I can't put back together.
No, I took it as like, well, I know how that's dead.
Is.
Yes, that's just
like
a death.
Like there's nothing we can do.
That's not even worth it, son. Just
or the other thing that would have been awesome if Tommy would be like, you killed my fucking cat, I kill your fucking girlfriend.
Who killed the cat? What do you mean?
As far as we know,
Tommy killed the cat.
No,
he snapped its neck
when he did the whole thing. My theory earlier, as far as he could know that he.
Oh, the terrible theory. That's right.
Wait, what was the terrible theory again? I forgot about that.
The mouse did it.
The mouse did it.
But at that point, Tommy walked in and thought it was Austin who did it. It was like, you fucker, you mangled my cat.
Well, that was the autopsy of Jane Doe for this week. We are coming back with The Ritual next week.
Okay, and special thank you to our good friend, or my good friend, I should say, Bree, who suggested this movie, which we all loved. She gives us a lot.
Very active on social media and Twitter. So.
Yes.
She's a very talented makeup artist, so check out her page.
Her Instagram is zombiebeauty_number48.
Thank you,
Number
Bree.
48.
Thanks, Bree.
So thank you again for recommending this movie. We loved it. We appreciate, again, all the love you give us on social media.
But why haven't you emailed us about stickers yet?
Yes.
Just kidding.
I gave her some, actually.
I know, you gave her some already. So if you want stickers, podcast@scarynerd.com.
Yes.
We've
and
also got
we
buttons.
have one spot open for a last request for the month of March. So if you have a request, please email us at podcast@scarynerd.com. You can also contact us on all the social medias, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can support us on Patreon by going to patreon.com/scarynerd. And we will see you next week with 2018's The Ritual.
I'm still looking for an outro theme song.
Yes.
So.
Paul wants a weird 1980s outro theme song. So if you're a band and want to make us a sweet 80s outro, please contact us at
podcast. If you're a terrible 80s band, you have to be a terrible
band. Gotta
band.
be a terrible one, not a good one, terrible one.
You have to sound like a terrible band. You actually have to be a terrible band.
We're just looking for the sound, okay?
We want you to be good enough to sound terrible on purpose. That's all I want.
That's what I was about to ask.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.